Hi, everyone. It's me. Hi, Ernie. Hello. Hi, welcome. Here comes everyone. Hello, everyone. Hi, hello. Come on in. Look at all these amazing people that are jumping in here. Hi. Oh, there's Mr. James Hallet. I should promote him. Promote to panelist. It's me.
Oh, come. Oh, come. Oh, my computer's not letting me. It's the program eyeglasses. There we are.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, you promoted me. I'm so thankful for being promoted.
Yes, because you should be promoted.
It's such a nice thing to get promoted.
It is always a nice thing to get promoted. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It was so funny because Maggie is on here, and I did a TikTok about Maggie yesterday because there was a clip on TikTok of when Maggie played the woman that killed her husband and put him in the walls of her house. I was like, I hope I don't piss off my client, Maggie. She might put me in the walls of her house. It was so good. That was hilarious.
Wow.
It was great yesterday watching. It's so great when you see because today we're going to talk about gratitude. And yes, and I just want to I'm just so grateful for the clients that I have. But sometimes we're doing this and sometimes we don't introduce ourselves again. James, just introduce yourself to everyone and tell us a little bit about you for the people that maybe have never been on this webinar with us.
I'm James Hallet. I have a studio, James Hallet Studio. I work with actors, artists, to help them unblock places that are stuck, clear old patterns. I help people to book. I help people do self-tapes, and I coach people to book series regular roles and everything else. Stage work, on camera. I'm also a professional actor, and Valerie and I have known each other for a long time. We started our businesses in sync, and had the same business coach, and I actually saw Valerie on stage years and years ago with one of my dear friends in New York City. So we, we've actually known each other in that world of just being actors, which is really, really awesome.
Just actors.
Just being actors. That's
oh, you're just an actor?
Exactly.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. No, this is this is such an interesting. So gratitude,
yeah,
has been the topic of gratitude is so perfect because it's been on my mind a lot recently.
Why has it been on your mind?
So my mother passed away.
Yes.
And my mother, when my mother was dying, she did something extraordinary, which taught me a huge lesson. And that lesson is, so I'm going to start from a step back before I describe my mom. But we are often in settings in our industry where there's a background actor or someone who plays a role that's not featured, and we that person is often relegated to the no identity category, right? They don't have a name. They're just a passerby, or they're someone who's blurred out in the background. And I watched my mother as she was dying, dealing with all these women who were caretakers in the elder care facility. And my mother knew all of their names and knew where they were from and asked them questions about themselves. Even up until the week before she died, she was still asking these women, so how's your family in Ukraine? How's your family in Africa? How are you know, and when my mother passed away, these caretaking women wept. And I thought, wow, what a lesson in gratitude.
Yes.
What a lesson in not treating anyone like an unimportant character in your background.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful to me. And I thought to myself, that is a lesson that I need to hold on to for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I've been thinking a lot about coming from a state of grace. Your mother was in a state of grace as she was transitioning to another form of life.
Yeah.
Right. And coming from a state of grace, like, what does that mean? I feel like, and I've been saying this a lot, I feel like that it's so clearly now, like, we're living in this global world, right? We're living in this global world. And it's so clear that there's this chasm happening between the light and the dark. And it's so important, to surround yourself with people of the light, right? People, because we are only as strong as the weakest person in our world. Right. And I have a client who is attempting to open an orphanage in Tibet.
Wow.
And she showed me pictures. We met last Friday and she showed me pictures of this like little Tibetan child sleeping on the ground and with no shelter. Mm-hmm. Right. And you think, we have to save the most weakest person to save us all and come from a place of grace and gratitude. And if you can find a state of grace when you're dying, oh my God, because, my experience is a lot of times when I've been around people that are dying, it's like some of the other stuff comes out. Like, which you can blame them. I mean, like, when my best friend was dying of AIDS, it was like, he could be kind of mean, and say, so just to find that grace when you're dying, it's like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And thank you for telling me that story. That was, fine. I mean, it's really, it's hard for me, like, to stay in a place of grace, right? To stay in a place of curiosity, to stay in a place of gratefulness. I feel like I'm an angry bitch. And I also am someone that's always cared about the underdog. That's why I fight for actors to get their power back,
Yeah, and I also, because there are people listening, I want to let them know that you're a deeply spiritual person. That your commitment to your church and to your and the community is really strong. So in the midst of in the midst of the fight with the side of ourselves that's fiery and explosive, that's life, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's life. The struggle is life, but you're a deeply spiritual person, and I know that about you. So, the question isn't how not to have anger,
yeah,
or how not to have bitterness, right? Because we have all the feelings. We all will always have the full spectrum of feelings. The question is, how do we handle them?
Yeah.
Right. What do we do with that energy? And do we, I remember it was either the Dalai Lama, I think it was the Dalai Lama, was asked the question, have you succeeded in moving beyond anger? And the Dalai Lama laughed and said, no, if you were around me for 1 week, you would, you would encounter my irritation and my anger. This, so the question isn't like we don't ever, like, even if you're the Dalai Lama, you don't get over it. You just learn how to move out of it faster.
Yeah. Like, I mean, being an entrepreneur, so that's what actors are. No one ever tells them that. And even if they did tell them that, they don't really explain to them what that means. But, being an entrepreneur, as one of my coaches said, is not for the weak of heart, it's faint of heart. And there are days that we all wake up with what I call squirrel brain, where it's like the negative squirrels are up there like running rampant in your brain, right? I had the dream last night, my teeth were falling out, which it's good or bad, but like that's like a squirrel brain, right? So this morning, thank you, Deanie. Deanie's like, squirrel brain. Oh my God. It's true though. But then I got up this morning and walked like 2 miles, listening to Rachel Maddow's Bag Man, which is about Spiro Agnew. It's a really good podcast, by the way, if you haven't heard of it. Like, I was listening to that, I was like stomping up the street, but just doing that, it's cold, it's a little chilly here today in New York, and just doing that helps to settle my squirrel brain. Like, so knowing the things that work for you.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God. It is so important. We have to know ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to we have to be really honest about ourselves, and not have these illusions of like, it's like we all have our, excuse my French, shit. Right, we all have our stuff, and we have our places where we get stuck, and we have our good habits and our bad habits, and if we are trying to pretend we don't, or trying to hide from that, we are just in trouble. So knowing that you need a good long walk in the morning, right? Knowing that you need that, and just saying to yourself, you know what? Doesn't matter what else I do. I got to do this.
Yeah, I got to walk to shut the squirrels down.
Yeah.
There's, I was telling this story of the Game Changer. I usually, like, on some point, like right before or the night before the 3-day, I have like what I call like a little mini nervous breakdown. Just like it's a lot. This year I had it on Sunday, on the 3rd day of the event.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, when you go through, and it might not be everyone that does this in a 3-day event, but for me, like, in order to change the game. And this funny, because I was reading about gratitude this morning, and it said gratitude is a game changer. I'm like, going through the change that I go through to take the actors that attend through a changing experience. It's kind of like birthing a child. I don't know, I've never birthed one, but it's like this thing comes through you and you bring it to your audience, and there's always an emotional response to that. For me, there is. It's kind of like if you ever had like an amazing acting experience, or like the end of a long run of a play that you loved doing, or even when you were done shooting a movie that you worked so hard, there's often an emotional release that occurs. Yeah. Right. And because, what we're doing is, well, it's religious, it's spiritual. I mean, acting is based in that. And so, yeah.
It absolutely is. Yes. And it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
And when you go through what you go, I mean, I haven't had a 3-day event, right? I haven't done that. I haven't done but I've been with you through it. And I know that there's an enormous amount of vulnerability, and caring about all these people, and hoping that you tell the story in a way that people get what you're bringing to the world. You know, it's incredibly vulnerable. I mean, it is what we do, right? I mean, as actors, we put ourselves forward in a vulnerable way every time we walk in the audition room.
Absolutely.
You know,
right. So gratitude is just, gratitude is another way to put distance between you and the squirrels, between you and the negativity, right? And we talked a lot about this. We had our client retreat this weekend. It was amazing, by the way, but we talked a lot about reprogramming neural pathways, like how, you'll get to a certain place and then you'll go, well, this is never going to work out, or whatever you tell yourself. And it's kind of like this chasm, right? You talk about it in the groove and setting the group. It's like this chasm that you fall into every time. And what's the bridge over the chasm? Like, what's the new thought, right? And gratitude can really help you rewrite that. And because it's all, it's all made up, all the thoughts that we have about, well, I didn't get that part because we make up all these reasons why we didn't get it, which normally we don't even know any of the reasons why we didn't get it, but we make up all these reasons. And then, we go into these chasms of, well, I've been doing all this work and reaching out as an actor and I'm not getting any responses. So it must be like blah, blah, like we go down that negative path of what that means now.
I also, in thinking, in preparing for today, I was thinking about what gratitude itself means. And one of the thoughts that came up for me was that in order to be grateful, we also have to be in a place of receiving.
Yes.
And it's really important. Like, I think that I'll own it for myself. I had to learn how to receive. I've been a caretaker for, like, I caretake people, and I was hit by a car, and this was it was like 2012, and I was hit by a vehicle. I was walking in the street, and the driver was like, dude, you got to get up. This is a really bad day for me to have this happen. Right. So, and I went to the hospital, and I had a, damaged knee, fractured rib cage, and all kinds of other, my spinal column was inflamed. And I was in bed and I couldn't move. And I was in a place where I was like, okay, what do I need to learn? Like what is the universe telling me? And one of the things I learned was that I had to receive, because I couldn't take care of anybody else. I couldn't take care of myself. Yeah. And one of the things that came from that receiving was really understanding gratitude. Really understanding, putting our hands out and being in the place of receiving. And it's amazing what comes to us when we actually put our hands out. And where we get stuck is when we get angry that things aren't coming, but our hands aren't open.
Yeah.
So we're angry that we don't get cast. We're angry that, and then it's like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing to get work? What do you mean? And it's like, are you out there? Are you out there asking? Are you out there reaching out? Are you out there inquiring? Are you out? Are you open? Is your business open? Are your doors open? Right, and because that's the movement. The movement that allows gratitude is when we're open.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, and I think it's really important to give yourself credit for what you have done all of the time and how far you have come. Because I know me, as soon as I get what I want, I'm wanting the next thing. Right? So always take time to have gratitude for the thing that you received, because you worked really hard, because you put it out there, right? Because you're moving forward.
I want to take a second to acknowledge you guys. We can see the chat, and we see everybody greeting us, and it's really lovely to have you all here. And I want to offer to you that we also are happy to take questions in the Q&A. So if you have questions, put them in the Q&A, or if you have thoughts you want to, there's something you want to say that you want us to discuss online together, or if you have a question.
Yeah, if you have a question about anything to do with your acting career, we do have a contest going on right now for our clients. It's so exciting. So we have a contest going on for our clients right now, and whoever went, they're doing reach outs. The person that does to their customers. Direct, for you guys that aren't clients or never worked with us, customers are directors, producers, writers, and casting directors. So whoever does the most reach outs gets a spot on the 5th season of Face to Face with David on Amazon.
Wow.
I know. So that was that's really great. We have that going on right now. That's exciting. So we're really, really excited about that. And David's amazing. We're doing some other stuff. We have a lot of producing clients now, and we're moving more in that direction, which we're really excited about.
That's fantastic. I mean,
yeah.
the reaching out is, again, it's like the hand, are your hands open?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, experience bitterness from rejection, and they feel angry they've been rejected, and so they come at auditions with bitterness, or irritation, or expecting something, or
expecting something.
And it's interesting. It's interesting to see what shifts when we stop expecting something.
Yeah.
I've had some really interesting, like this week for me has been very fascinating. That I really finally got over the grief around my mother's passing. Yeah. I mean, I expect grief to come in different waves, but the deep part of it, I'm no longer in the cave underwater. Yeah. And I sort of came out, and I was like in this place of like, you know what, I'm ready to reconnect to people. Like I'm ready. I'm open again. And immediately I got messages from people saying to me, hey James, I've been thinking about you, can we talk? Or, and I was like, wow, like the minute that shifted inside of me, the universe responded. Like people, and I hadn't reached out to them. It was people reaching out to me. And I thought, wow, this is what happens, right? When we make that shift, inside, the universe responds, and that lesson is always there.
It's so true, like James. So, I always talk about the boomerangs, like each sales outreach is a boomerang. And a lot of actors they'll send something out and they'll be like, did they get it? So they're holding on to results, like, rather than, and the other thing is sales is service, right? So gratitude, like it's like putting the energy out and not being attached to the results. And one of the things that Meredith Riley Stewart, very well, who was on our producers panel and at the Game Changer, she said, you guys don't see the ripples. And I thought that's so important to hear, because you guys send the stuff out and you go, well, he never got it, or he never opened it, or nothing ever happened, right? Like, but you don't know that he didn't see your name and then go to lunch And this other woman that gotten a pitch from you was like, oh yeah, I really like, Della Ann, this woman, Della Ann reached out to me today. And it's like, oh yeah, I like her too. She's really interesting, isn't she? So Della might be back saying, oh, I did all this reach out and nothing happened. And yet what's happening is she's not seeing it. And so by negating it without any evidence that it's not working, she's cutting it off at the knees, right? She's cutting off the possibility at the knees. Because the other person that we had at we had a manifestation coach at the.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and she was amazing. Let's take a couple of questions.
So Dana Jones said, well, what if you want to receive, but you never get what you want to receive? Like, what if you don't get it? And this is such an interesting question. I think that one of the things that immediately comes to me, Dana, is that the universe is always responding, and part of our job is to pay attention to what is actually moving, because the universe is always responding, and the universe is searching its pockets, sort of going, what about this? Do you want that? What about this? Do you want that? And so one of the questions that I might ask is, what are the things that are coming to you that you've sort of been like, oh, that's not what I wanted? Like what are the things that are actually moving? What is coming to you? The business coach Valorie and I both trained with, used to say, what's the low-hanging fruit, right? What's the thing that's right there that we're like, oh, well, I didn't ask for that. Like, but it's right there. It's an opportunity, or it's something being offered that's right there. Like, is there a way for us to change our focus for a second and to sort of look at, well, what responses am I getting that are positive?
Okay, and so a couple things, like the thing that we talked about this weekend in our thing, which I think you have to be really clear and concise about what you're putting out to the universe. So, example, I always ask actors, what do you want? Like, what's the dream? Like the first fucking thing out of our mouths when we start working with a new client. And inevitably we hear, well, we just want to be a working actor, right? So the universe hears that. And it's really unclear, right? I just want to be a working actor. Okay, here's a job. Oh, and here you call yourself an actor. Or here's a web series that doesn't pay anything, that never goes anywhere, right? Like, you're asking for something and it's not being clear and concise. The other thing that we really talked about is, like, what does it feel like when you get the thing that you want? So one of my clients said on the mastermind on Tuesday, he said, Dijon said, it's for me, when I realized that it's not about whether I believe I can get it or not, it's not about that. It's about how I feel when I get that thing. So if you want $1 million in your bank account, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning and you have $1 million in your bank account? How do you feel? Right? Really, like, tap into that. And then consistently and persistently asking the universe clearly and concisely for what you want. And really, one of the things she talked about, which I loved, our manifestation coach, is she's talked, go to imaginary land at least once a day for 10 minutes and just sit in. I'm on the red carpet. I look so sexy and I feel powerful and I'm really proud of my accomplishments. And you allow yourself to really feel the feeling of your dream and what it means that you've achieved that dream. So I think, look really clearly at what you're asking for, Dana, and then make a habit of asking for it regularly. And, also make sure that the steps that you're taking, right? Because a lot of times what happens is, if I ask a room of 1,000 actors what you're doing about your acting career, you're going to tell me one of these three things. Well, I'm thinking of getting a new agent because mine sucks. I'm going to get new headshots because I need new headshots. And I'm taking this really amazing acting class. This is an issue because everything that you just told me has nothing about you getting your dream to come true. Right? So if you see yourself in a Steven Spielberg movie, what did you do about that today? Right? Did you reach out to someone in DreamWorks? Because that would probably be a good idea. Right? And it doesn't have to be Steven Spielberg, but be very clear about like, oh, I'm going to take this step, right? Like it's actually connected, right? Rather than, one thing she talked about is breadcrumbs, which I thought, oh my God, actors are so guilty of that. Collecting breadcrumbs. So we're submitting all day on actors no access. Well, that's the other thing actors are doing. If they're doing anything, that's what they're doing. And what you're submitting for are the scraps of food on the floor, the breadcrumbs, right? And most of us settle for the breadcrumbs because we don't think we can get the whole loaf of like homemade challah bread or whatever,
Yeah.
So, good. Awesome.
So
Thank you for asking that, Dana.
Susanna von Schlipp says, what's your best tip to bring yourself and your mind to gratitude as soon as possible when something we don't appreciate arises in life?
Just make one of the things that Deepak Chopra talks is like, stop, breathe, look around your house, and you'll find something to be grateful for. Even that wilting bouquet of flowers that you thought about enough to buy at Trader Joe's for yourself the other day, or I don't know where you live, if you live in America, right? But like, oh, I'm grateful that I bought that for myself and I enjoyed those flowers while they were alive. Boom. Just stop and look, because everywhere we go, like I saw a homeless guy without any shoes in a wheelchair, and as I'm walking down the street trying to get rid of the squirrels in my head back to my warm house that I own, right? I mean, like, there's always something out there that can like immediate spur gratitude. It's like look and observe is what I would say.
And what I might add to that too is that when things arise that we don't appreciate, now that sounds very tricky language. Things that we don't appreciate could be something really traumatic or something really offensive.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that that we actually do need to feel. We actually do need to feel what we feel. Like we need to feel our feelings.
Oh yeah.
And
just don't react on it.
And don't stay with it. Right?
Yeah.
It's like
find a way to let it go.
Let it go. Exactly. There's a wonderful. She's a Buddhist yoga teacher named Tara Brach. And Tara Brach is on YouTube. You can find her stuff. And she has a wonderful piece that she just did called Let It Go. And it's all about letting go and returning to relaxation. So there is this other thing about like, okay, something made me tense. All right, well, where's the tension? And what's the feeling that arises? What's the image there? Okay, I'm going to breathe into it. I'm going to let it go. And then I'm going to feel again in my body, like where am I holding? Where am I tense? And I'm going to just say like, okay, I feel that tension. I'm going to breathe into it and let it go. And the deeper we go into that letting go, the more that these things clear, and we return to a space of being able to receive gratitude and to receive.
Oh my God. And sometimes when it's really hard, like when someone attacks you on social media or, something really hard, I think it's also really important to have your people that you call, that you talk to. Do not try, if it's like attack on you and you are like ready to kill someone, because I've been there, you gotta have the people that will talk you down off the ledge and serve you, not like pour gasoline on the fire, or but like understand the process and help you get there. And so I think it's a very volatile world we live in now, more than it ever has been. And it's so, I thank Jesus every day that we did not have social media when I was growing up. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. So okay. I know. I don't know where it's all going. But so Dene. How do you pronounce Dene?
Deanie.
Dene. Sorry.
Deanie. You would love her.
Dene.
You guys need to meet sometime.
So Dene says, when you hit the groove or notice you have a squirrel infestation that snuck up on you, is there a trick that you have personally to get out of it? Do you do something different? Have a phrase you say, a little dance? That's a great question. So I think Valerie and I both will have answers to this. One thing that I remind myself, it's a little phrase that I say, and it always pulls me back into the present moment. I say, it's not about you. And this is really important, you guys. Other people have their own lives and irritations and anger and focus and distractions, and they are living in their world, in their life. It's not about you. And if we can remember that it's not about me, right? Like when I don't get cast, you know what? It's not about me.
No,
it's really not.
It's not about you.
And I know it sounds counterintuitive because we're like, well, but of course it's about me because it was my life. It was I auditioned. It was my life. It was my right. But the reality is that it's not about you. And this is one of those things where if we can really embrace, it's not about it's not about you.
And the more that you embrace it's not about you when you go into the audition, I mean, not that we do that very often, but I did have I did have an EcoCast live audition the other day. So, you're there with the casting director online but when you know it's not about you, when you walk in the room, you're just there to put on your little play that you rehearsed and you made choices about, and you're there to present it. Just like if for you guys that were when you were kids and if you didn't do this, okay, but we charged our parents. We would put on plays, we would charge our parents, they would come in and we'd do our little play. Right? It's like, that's what an audition is. It's like you're presenting your little version of the story. That's all. And that's the only focus ever on an audition, right? And also when you're just reaching out to your customer base, like we teach at Actors Fast Track, they're reaching out now to win a prize of being on a TV show. So it's a pretty good prize. They're reaching out, it's like the more you just reach out and serve that way, then you don't have that. So what do I tell myself? I have learned it's not about you as well, Deanie. That's one thing. I work out. I get my crazy pants dealt with by working out. So walk around the block. That is something that has, and people said that for years. Like when I went to Weight Watchers meetings and shit like that, they would say, take a walk around the block. I'm like, oh, fuck that. Right. But I actually do that now. And it's for me, pumping around 2 miles today around this big thing I do in Irvington really helps me to, walk away from the rage that I, wake up into. So also listening to music rather than going on Twitter or something, and all that stuff. So those things are things that I do for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that's such a beautiful thing to remember, to actually stay in your body and take care of your body, and recognize that we have to move. I have a client who I realized that every time she had an audition, she came out with all this anxiety, and I said, is there a happy dance you can do? Is there a dance you can do that's about happiness and success? And she said, yeah, I have a little dance I do. And I said, why don't you do it every time you audition? You went in there and you risked and you worked on it and you said, and come out and do the happy dance. like, I did it, I did it, I did, right? And it's like she started doing that, and she realized that it transformed her experience of auditioning, that she suddenly was able to be like, I did it. Like, I went in there and I did it, and I came out, and I might get it or I might not, but it doesn't matter. I can still celebrate my having gone in there and succeeded.
Yeah.
So, so the movement, being in our body and releasing energy is so important. So important. So Bernadette Speaks says, what was one of your aha moments when you clearly saw the reciprocal energy, when you just gave with no expectations and then were given it back in an unexpected way, which blew you away?
Like I have a million. A million. Well, I mean, something that's happening now. Like a lot of times when, so like producing, actors fast track producing. Like I said to myself like 2 years ago, and I've been saying that, I wanted to changing the way actors do business is also like involved producing stuff, because now what we're seeing across the boards is all these things being cast without casting directors, all these producing things happening without distributors, like going straight to the source, right? Like the middleman is being cut out, just as I predicted it that would happen. It's what always happens in an exponential change, and it's why it's happening here. It's just what it is. It's evolution. So like I said, I wanted to do that. And then I met with all these big producers, and the minute they started talking about budgets and money, my brain collapsed. Right. And so I let it go, but I still created that to the universe very specifically. Now a whole production team and company has showed up in my life that wants to produce stuff with Actors Fast Track. And now I have every one of my coaches, including Sarah, is producing something right now.
Wow.
And I'm not talking at a small level. I'm talking at like they're on deadline, right? Like they're all producing. I'm like, oh, okay. So shut up and just let the universe take care of the business, right? Like be clear about what you want. So for me, that is, and the other one, I think sometimes it's like as an actress, I told the story, you might have heard this, Bernadette, that I was on set on True Blood, and I was in front of a meat statue that had been there for like a week. It smelled like dookie. And then I had black contacts in my eyes. We were in the Malibu mountains in summer, but it was freezing. I had shorts and a short sleeve shirt on. And on action, I had to kneel in the dirt, no knee pads. I had shorts on in front of the stinky meat statue with these black contacts in. And then I had to get up. And every time I had to get up, the famous character actor in front of me had a gun because he was the sheriff. And he had his boxer shorts on. And every time he would stand up, it looked like the thing was going to stick me in the eyeballs. And so I would back out. And it was 3 in the fucking morning. And he was older than me. And he was not in a fucking good mood. Famous character actor. And so he was really, and I was just gracious to him. I had to stay in a place of gratitude that I had a job that was a reoccurring on a show on HBO that was going to make some money for me. Like I kept looking for that because I had my own struggle through the shooting of those 3 episodes where I had to give myself a lot of talking to in the mirror, talking to about being a pro and being a professional actress, because it was hard. Right. And so anyway, I just was gracious, and he was just mean to me, so mean to me. Next day, Bernadette, knock, knock, knock on my trailer door. And he'd gone home and he'd looked me up and he saw my resume. And he came in and he's like, I just want to say, I read your resume and oh my God, you've done amazing things working with Grotowski and Peter Brook and all these people. Like, wow, really cool. And I'm really sorry if I was a pain in the ass last night. And I was like, oh, like it came back and it was just like believing that, if you can't change something or a situation, right? You can accept it. And with grace, I think that's the goal. Not that I accept everything with grace, please.
So,
Okay.
so my story, can I tell my story?
Yes.
So,
Sorry.
your story is fantastic. It's fantastic. I don't want in any way, this is not a diminishment of your story. So I've had in my acting career, there have been a couple of things that have sort of happened that came out of the ether. And I was like, I said yes to them, but it was like, so one of them was, I went to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, with Antoinette LaVecchia and James Haven, who's Angelina Jolie's brother, and a few some other people, and worked with children who were HIV positive, little kids who were orphans, and just had this incredible experience there that really came out of the ether, and I said yes to it, and it ended up being that like, here we were thinking we're going to help the kids to create, and they taught us how to be open-hearted.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Made me cry like 3 times today.
And I shot a film in Bosnia, in Sarajevo, that was about the Bosnian War, and met these incredible people. Just met, and heard the story of that war, and that also came out of here I'm an American actor. How do I find myself in these places? And then I was invited to do a film in Karachi, Pakistan, and I met I mean, one person in particular was one of the producers, and she's become a dear friend, and she's incredibly spiritual and profound, and she's a poet, and she's also a filmmaker, and and it's like, I feel as if, so the story of Karachi, Pakistan, was that I got there and I after the first night, I was violently ill, throwing up all night. And then I had an all-night shoot that night. So I'd been violently ill all day. They had 300 extras in the streets with fireworks and lights and celebration, because the scene was the celebration of a victory, of the country's victory, and the camera was on me all night, and I had been violently ill the day before, and I at the end of the night, we had one final shoot, and the camera was on me, and I had a monologue, and the director said, because it had been an incredibly long shoot, the director said, we might have to do this tomorrow, because the sun's about to come up, and I said, just turn the camera on, like just turn it on. And he quieted down, turned the camera on. I did the monologue in one take, and he said, oh my God, James, you did it in one take. And here's the thing. I had been sick the whole night before, so my body was completely empty, which meant that I didn't have to go to the bathroom. I didn't have to leave the car. I was actually empty, and I was able to do it. And it's like, if you had sort of tried to plan it, you never could have imagined that the outcome of my being sick all night was that I was able to stay focused in the car, right? And it's like it's one of those moments where it's like, I was so thankful for all that had happened, even though it was not in any way pleasant. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that I would ask for, like, oh, I want to be sick all day. but the ultimate outcome of it was that I came out like a shining star, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, James Hallet, you're amazing." And it's like it was just circumstance, and I just said yes to it, and I just went with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, this is this thing. It's like, how do we keep saying yes? How do we keep recognizing that everything,
Well, here's what's happened for me. I mean, what's happened for me is that I just got really clear about what I was asking for. And that took me a long time.
Yeah.
Right. And once I got clear and stayed out of its way, it started to show up. And a lot of times I think things show up differently and we deny them because we didn't realize, like you said, oh my God, I'm sick. I'm doing this movie. What am I doing? Like all the thoughts that probably happened before you got to the moment in the car with the monologue that you were like, oh my God. Right. But then it was there, it's like, I think that we have to attune ourselves so much to follow the light and the heart. And we're going to make mistakes. We're going to make mistakes. But the more that we can tune ourselves to following our heart, and it's by getting clear about what we want. Those exercises where I do them at my events sometimes, and it's the one with Deepak, and he's like, now ask yourself, what do you want? Like, I was always like, I don't fucking know what I want. Like I want everything, right? And so I think it's like, what is that about? Like not knowing what you want. And then, but I think it's about forgiving myself that it's okay to want whatever I want. That's what it's about a lot.
Yeah. And also, and I think forgiving yourself about everything.
Yeah.
Right. It's about saying like, you know what, I don't have to ever be different from the me that I am. Like I don't have to be skinnier or prettier or taller or younger, or like I am here right now, and this moment is it's available to me to be in the Garden of Eden right now.
Yeah.
Like this moment is perfect if I open up to it.
So let's talk a minute about Angela Yo for a second, because Angela Yo set a very clear intention for herself that she wanted to be involved in movies that fought for women's rights. And so this weekend, Angela Yo is opening in the movie She Said at a theater near you.
Yeah. Please,
if you, I know Deanie said, I saw her in the trailer. I got so excited. If you guys go to see She Said this weekend, please post a picture and tag me and Actors Fast Tracking It on Instagram. And yeah. I'm going to give away, whoever I notice the most of tagging me is going to get a little free coaching. But like, let's hold Angela up. Angela Yo, YEOH, y'all. And we're really proud of her this weekend. But she got, like, I did not know she had set that goal until She Said, and then she held up her game board that we all play games, and a lot of my clients have game boards and stuff about what they're working on. And it said right there on her game, and she was like, look what I wrote down. I was like, well, that was.
Oh, really Angela, you're here.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, lovely.
That's what it said. Angela's here.
Hey, Angela.
Angela, wait, do you want to come on? We want to.
Yeah, come join us.
Come on, wait, come here. Oh my God, Angela's here. How
come
exciting.
Join us.
We're making her. She can. If she doesn't want to go, she doesn't have to.
No, but Angela, if you want to come join us, just say hello. We
just
would
come
love.
over and say hello.
Yeah, we would love that. Hey.
Hang on one sec. I just have to set up a tripod because I'm not set up to.
That's okay.
James, I'm going to do a little dance. This is my happy movie star dance.
Yay! Woohoo, Angela.
Oh, it's It's so lovely to see both of you. I will be able
Oh.
to turn on the camera in like 30 seconds once I've actually propped up the
Okay,
phone. so
okay,
that-
don't worry
Okay,
about it.
that's great.
We're seeing it Saturday night. I'm gonna get my tickets as soon as I get off here.
Amazing. It means a lot to have people come and see it on the opening weekend. So it'd be great.
Oh,
So
yeah.
thank you for the shout out. I really appreciate it. Okay, I have no idea what I look like because I haven't looked at myself in the mirror, but we'll just come on.
Okay, but we want to see you.
Here we go.
Hey,
Yay. Oh, should I put my,
Angela.
look, it's like just the blue backdrop's better. Here you go. This is just,
Ah.
but it's like this is like you're seeing the behind the scenes. There you go. That's better, isn't it?
Everyone's so proud of you. Everyone's so proud of you. And I've gotten some, like, I haven't shared them, but I've had like behind the scenes photos because I'm your publicist, but like I know like you're so beautiful on all the red carpets.
Thank you. And
What was
I
that
hope,
like? Tell us about being on the red carpet.
yeah, and I was trying to finish some work while I was listening to the Zoom. So I did remember you saying just before, like sort of imagining what it feels like on a red carpet. I did think about saying I was so nervous for the first red carpet. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to like just feeling the responsibility of representing in this film. And but by the third one, I was getting more confident. Like friends who saw photos said you looked so much more relaxed. But it did feel scary because it did feel like being called into a bigger space of visibility. And I realized though that representation, which is something that I've really worked hard for as a storyteller, when I used to be a journalist, sort of elevating untold stories and elevating underrepresented faces and voices, that representation requires a certain visibility. And if I, as someone who's female of the global majority of a certain age, am not willing to step up and be visible, then what am I doing? Like I have to sort of walk my own talk. Is that, yeah. So
Yes.
sort of like I had to, yeah, it was just amazing how the universe supported me in all of it. And it did start with Actors Fast Track, with, you know, working with Valorie, and then Sarah connecting me with a publicist in LA, and then that publicist connecting me with another publicist, connecting me with a stylist, and then all like, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to afford this, because I mean, but bits of money what came through, like for a production day that I wasn't paid for last year, was the exact money that I needed to pay for the stylist, who was, you know, very, very kindly offered to like adjust their fee for me. And same hair and makeup also somehow came through, even though like 48 hours before the LA premiere, I had no hair and makeup, but I just sort of like, I was like trusting that something will work out, and it did. And I just had the most lovely people working with me, and I couldn't have anticipated it to work out the way it did. I could say more, but like it was really just a magical thing, and it really was challenging. Really, like for a lot of it, I was struggling again, doing the like, I'm struggling in pain, and like I can't cope with this. But then like just the more I released, the more I sort of just tried to step into it, the more it flowed and worked out.
Yeah.
So proud of you.
So proud.
That's so
You know,
awesome.
it's like finding that way, like, because I know I've been through those dives with you, and like through with all my clients, you know, that are working, you know, there's like, right. So how do we make that, you know, whether it was like, are you going to get your visa in time to shoot it, or that line in the script that you wanted changed, or all the things that you've had to go through to get this, be a part of this, and all the big decisions that you had. It's great because you can ask yourself, oh, do I have to make it that difficult? Like, is there a way to make it easier on myself?
Yeah, and it's like stepping into the things that are challenging, or when it is my work to do, like when it was trying to push for some words that felt were important to change. I think there's a like, yeah, it's finding that balance between doing the work and then surrendering the outcome, which is, I know, something that you often say, and that James often says as well. So yeah, just to, because I think it did work out. I don't want to say too much about the changes, because the final film is the way it should be, which is what matters. But I think, yeah, it's like with anything, just even if I don't know if it's going to work out, to trust that it will somehow work out the way it's meant to, just gives that extra bit of space to kind of not be suffering so much through the process. It's unnecessary suffering to like be holding things too tight, or like be pushing too hard. But finding that balance as well, because sometimes you do need to push, and sometimes you do need to like do the scary thing.
You know, it's so funny because I have to tell you that like you going through the script ordeal, like that's when a client inspires me, like you inspired me. Like you were so brave and you were so smart about what you wanted. And I was just amazed by you. Like I learned, you know, because like it's hard sometimes. It's a lot standing up for yourself for something that you believe in, and to speak about that and don't want to sound like the shrew, you know, or the complainer or the difficult actress or whatever thing you're telling yourself that you are afraid of. And
Yeah.
you were really inspiring to watch you go through that. I just want you to know.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just knew that I wouldn't be able to live with myself to sort of not try and push for what I thought was right. And yeah, it's just trusting that, like it's another thing that you said, Valerie, as well, that, you know, if something goes wrong or some producer or whoever or writer or whatever decides they don't like you for whatever reason, which I don't think is the case, because I got to, in this film, everyone is just so phenomenal. It's been lovely working with everyone. But I think just remembering that if anyone sort of doesn't happen to like, when you're really just trying to stand up with integrity and positive energy for what is right, there's like thousands of other ones that you can work with. So it doesn't matter if, you know, if someone doesn't quite align with you, then that's okay. Like you don't have to agree with everyone. But yeah.
And all we have is our integrity. Right. That's, I mean, that's, you know, that's what we have. And what I love is that you came forward and said, my integrity is what matters. Right. I want this character's truth to be spoken. And you stood up for that. And I think that's, you know, from the beginning of meeting you, my sense has always been that you were going to succeed. And the only thing in the way was sort of the sort of like imagining, oh, I can actually do this, right? That this is real, that I will succeed if I step forward, and you kept doing that, and here you are. And it's such a statement of what it is to be courageous and what it is to be focused, and to trust, and to, you know, to believe in oneself. You know, you're making it happen. You're doing it. This is fantastic.
I'm so excited. Gilbert's excited too. We're going to go see it Saturday. I'm very, very. Wait, we have a couple questions. Is there anything for Angela that we wanted to under the questions, James?
Or
stuff for us?
No, it's just for us. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but Angela, someone did ask, well, what's the name of the film?
She said.
So, you know, I guess what so for the people who don't know what we're talking about in the conversation, what can you say about discovery of the character that for you brought up the issue of truth or integrity? Like what did you as an actor sort of say, oh, this I need to address this? Like how would you speak to that?
Well, she's playing a real person too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, just in a nutshell, the film's about the New York Times journalist who broke the Harvey Weinstein story, and I play one of the survivors who speaks up in the film. And yeah, in a nutshell, it just felt like some of the words didn't quite ring true, and I'd done a lot of work looking at all the interviews she'd already given publicly, and just from my own experience as well. There's something that didn't quite sit right, and I don't want to focus too much on that, because I know that the main thing is that everyone wanted the best film possible. And I know that as someone who was an unknown in this film, because it's a phenomenal cast. It's like Oscar nominated, Emmy winning, Tony winning actors are the rest of the cast. And then there's me, who's like this unknown newer actor. And I know that I didn't necessarily have that I didn't necessarily have that power, in going, here I am, this like person who is doing this, but I had to like sort of draw on the rest of my work of like, I worked as a journalist. I really have researched this role really hard, and I know that everyone wants the best film. So how do we make sure that some subtle changes in the film, in the script that felt needed to align with the truth, and to sort of, I don't know if I've quite answered the question without saying.
No, yeah, you did perfectly. I mean, it's these are things that you and I talked about too in the process, and I think that you handled it perfectly.
Yeah.
You really did. You handled it perfectly. And and courageously. And that's the best any of us can be asked to do.
It was really lovely having both, like Valorie and James, both of you have, like, just anyone who's on here, like these, if you've not worked with James or Valorie before, they're both really wonderful human beings. And yeah, they really supported my journey last year when I was getting ready for this shoot. And yeah, it's
Yay!
now, so
Yay!
I hope the film has an impact. And like I said, it's a really phenomenal team that have worked on it, and like go see it for them.
So much press right now, so I love it. And you're getting a lot of press, and so now what happens is you see how getting the press now, these people that you're now auditioning for these series regulars and big movies now, you're more likely to get chosen because they saw you while sitting in a bar at LAX.
Well, just to share, I mean, I didn't sign an NDA.
She's on TV, you guys. She got all these interviews, right? Go ahead. Yes.
Oh yeah, and I still actually, that was what I was trying to do while listening to the Zoom, because I was like, I love Valorie and James. I always love to tune into them. But also I've got some written interviews that are overdue. I was meant to have written them for my publicist ages ago, and the film's coming out tomorrow, so I should try and finish those tonight. But so there's written Q&As I need to do. There's like a couple of podcasts I'm going to chase up with my publicist about it. It does feel like, you know, it's like it does feel like a lot of money to put into this next phase. But just to say that, like, when I got back from the London Film Festival, I got an audition for a role that would have been playing opposite Brad Pitt and George Clooney, which is, I was like, this is what, like, I'm getting considered for this. And of course the likelihood is I won't get it because they're considering so many people, but just like go.
We don't know. We don't know that. We don't know that.
Who knows? Like, I'm surrendering it to the universe. It was wonderful to be considered. And those two are just.
If you get into a movie, Brad Pitt, who do you call?
Yes, I know. But they're just at the top of their craft, and I know I'd learned so much from playing. And then another audition that would have been is a role alongside Morgan Freeman. Like, I feel really grateful for the opportunities I'm getting seen for, and who knows what's around the corner, and just sort of going to keep doing this as long as it feels right to. And yeah, I've really appreciated both of you for your energy and the community that you're building.
We appreciated you having you as a client, and as someone that really gives all of the clients that are on here right now, that are doing the work, that are motivated by you. That's great, because they see, oh, okay, so do we all have issues, right? Like Angela, like organization, right? And things like that. Like, that's so, like, some of us are about not being perfect or letting it go, or, one thing you said to me, you're like, my auditions take a long time. Sometimes I get them in late. And I'm like, you're booking? Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't have another client. Well, Laura Bofel, that's booking as much as you're booking. I'm like, keep doing what you're doing. If they're a little late and they take a little longer, maybe you could speed that up, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's the thing that really works. And, you really learned how to act. And you really have system, a technique, and you give great auditions, and, and that is, and you were already doing that or figured that out, which is important, because so much of that's crazy. A lot of the thing that stops us. Right.
Yeah. It's an ongoing journey of learning, and yeah,
it is.
Yay, a lot of what you say still resonates, of like, just how do you, like I was just saying, I think I can still get a little bit more, like, do less of the suffering in my auditions. And so that's why I was really like the happy dance that James was saying.
Right, exactly.
Oh my God, we didn't know that we were going to have like a movie star come on our webinar today, or we would have dressed up. I have my like
I'm not dressed up. I'm just
on in my like my
me too. I've got Ugg boots on too.
I know. I've got my sweats on.
Ugg boots.
We didn't dress up. We didn't know the fancy China up, giant Jimmy.
Nope.
We should have.
We could have. Oh, Angela, it's so nice to see you. So proud of you.
Good luck with everything you have to do. Go finish those written things for the publicist right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I love you.
Yay! Woo-hoo!
And we'll let Angela go, or whatever she has to do. We'll get her out of the panel so she doesn't have to feel like she can turn the camera off and listen. We're going to answer these 3 questions and then we'll be gone, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let me put you, where's it say? Oh, I think I have to go over here. I have to go here. I know how to do this. Let's see. Here you go. Bye, Angela. Love you. I'll send pictures. You'll see pictures.
Yay.
You'll see pictures of me at I'm going to take a little TikTok and everything of me at the movie poster.
Oh, that's such a treat. Wow.
I know. I love when I go to movies and I get to take pictures of my clients.
I know. Well,
I have a picture of Carolyn Faye Kramer on Law and Order the other day.
I coached her for that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we so that
That
was
was good. I hate that kind of thing. Oh my
I know.
God. She did great.
So this is one of those lessons, like, just like we were talking with Angela about, like, don't try and change something if it's working, right? So Carolyn Faye Kramer, we did a sort of standard Law and Order SVU take, completely serious, dry, whatever.
Oh, that was the one.
And then I said to Carolyn, okay, Carolyn, you know what? Let's just do one where it's just you, and it's your quirky self and funny and playful. And so we did it. We did a few takes that were just her quirkiest self, right? And she's quirky self. And she said, it's okay to submit both. And I said, you know what, Carolyn? Everyone is going to be submitting the dry SVU take. No one is going to submit the kooky, quirky take. Go for it. So she submitted both, right? So first of all, she gets cast, and second, her agent says, no more submitting 2 takes. And I'm like, and then she said to me, what do you think? And I said, I think you got cast.
It's like, here, have the cookie.
Exactly. And I was like,
oh my God, that happens so much to actors. One time, I wrote a letter. This is back when we had the phone book. I wrote a letter to, oh, you know who she is, the famous director, female director. And anyway, it doesn't matter. She was doing a production of and where all the women had to shave their head. And I was like, it's like Trojan women or something.
Yeah.
Joanne Akalaitis.
Oh, Joanne
Akalaitis. So I wrote her a letter and I sent it to her in the mail. Her address was in the fucking phone book.
Yeah.
Then my agent calls and he's like, he goes, did you write a letter to Joanne Akalaitis? And I'm like, yes, I did. And he's like, well, you shouldn't have done that. I said, did I get the audition? He goes, yes.
Right. Oh my God. That is hilarious. People just want to tell you the rules, don't they?
Yeah, they so do. Oh my God, this woman sent me this email from a casting director in London, and it said he wrote like 3 paragraphs about how it's such a waste of time to write this sort of letter. We are super busy and we don't have time to read your letter. I'm just like on about how she shouldn't be writing letters. At the very end, he said, if we have something right for you in the line of duty, I'll bring you in. Actors shouldn't write letters to that. I see that all the time.
God. Okay. So Dana says, may I ask what you do? What do you believe the universe is telling me when I go to an acting class that no one wants to team up with me or pick me to do anything with them, like improv or a scene? This actually happens and has been happening for months. I know I'm in a wheelchair, but I can act. The class is feasible for my budget.
Well,
first of all,
you're in a wheelchair. So you're in a wheelchair. So that makes people feel a certain way, which is uncomfortable. Right. And so, I think that, more than anyone, sometimes, I'm sure this when I say sit, in a state of grace, you're in a state of grace. What is it like to be in a state of grace? Because everyone has a stronger perception of you than anyone else normally, because you're in a chair. And so they're they make all these preconceived judgments, I'm sure. And so that's when you first were saying it, when I was first hearing the question without the wheelchair part, I was like, oh, well, what are you doing? What are you putting out there? but then when you said that, I was like, oh, well, that's it, and so I don't know, because I don't know, I'm not you. And so I can't speak to that, but I can imagine that it's probably way harder for you than it is for me. And so, what are those? I don't know what kind of scene study class. I mean, I have to talk to you, I don't know what kind of scene study class it is, or, what they're doing, but like, know what you want to be working on. Know the kind of roles that you feel like you want to be working on. If it's a good acting teacher and they've been working with you for a while, they're going to know what kind of roles you should be working on. Like if I go to an acting class today, they're not going to give me comedy because I know how to do that. They're going to give me something that goes where my weaker part is as an actress, which would probably be my vulnerability. So they're going to give me a scene that's hugely vulnerable if they're a good acting teacher. An acting teacher teaches you how to act, not how to be in the business. Those are two different things. So if you are that person right now that all you're doing is going to acting class, looking for a new headshot or looking for an agent, you're not in business.
I mean,
that's not about you, but I just wanted to say that, that's to everyone, what I just said.
Yeah. I mean, Dana, I don't know you. But that sounds like, first of all, that sounds painful.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry you're experiencing that, because it just sounds really painful. And the other thing is that in any room of 20 people,
Mm-hmm.
there is someone there who's compassionate.
Yes.
And someone there who's and if not, if there's no one in that room who's compassionate, then it might be the wrong room to be in. And this is one of those hard things, right? But I would say that there's always someone who's compassionate in a room of 20 people, and someone who's paying attention. So the other thing is like to actually reach out and to say, this is what I've been experiencing, and I actually want to work. Is there someone in this room who'd like to work with me? So it's actually, and it's courageous and hard, but I think that it might be that time to speak up and to challenge these people, or to challenge the teacher to step forward.
Yeah.
Because you're in a very painful situation, and
Yes.
I'm sorry you are.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for saying that, James. Thank you. Okay, do you have time, James? I know you have to go.
Yeah. We'll just so Taz Lucetter.
Yes.
Hi. But please ignore if this is too off topic. Do either of you know of someone I can contact to help support my short film regarding ageism? So it depends on what kind of assistance you need when you say support. You mean financially, or do you mean, finding an actor? Like,
Yeah, that's a big question. I mean, that's a really, really, really big question. By the way, Tara Westwood's movie is probably going to get nominated for an Oscar.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know.
Oh my God, that's great.
She's on the top list.
Wow.
I know.
That's fantastic.
I know. I have that great
my
picture
God.
of you, me and Tara Westwood.
I know. I love that. I love that one.
Yeah, she's probably going to win an Oscar. Hey, that'd be awesome. We'll see. She'll get nominated.
So Kaz, you followed up with a question. Do I coach? Yes, I coach. My training is separate from Actors Fast Track. Although Valorie and I share a lot of clients. Like we have a lot of clients that work.
Like Angela.
Yeah, that work with both me and my coaching and Valorie and Actors Fast Track. But you can always reach out to me if you want to talk about coaching. Happy to do so. And I know Valorie has other people she recommends as well, but I'm happy to talk to you. But if you can, Kaz, like if you can be more specific about that question, like what kind of support do you need?
Yeah,
because
if Sarah's still on here, Sarah's going to put her link in the get on Sarah's calendar and Sarah will there's Sarah's calendar. Sarah can punch you in the right direction possibly, and there's James' information as well.
Okay.
Okay,
and
what's
then-
next?
So Taurine Garrick.
Yeah, Taurine's a new client.
Oh, nice. So hi, Angela. She said, hi, Angela. So happy for you all. Was the Me Too movement happening when you made the request to the universe?
It wasn't Me Too anyway. She put the more specific what the request is she made in the chat, but I should have. So it wasn't. I thought it was more specific, but it was more general to bettering the earth, which it is. Okay.
Georgetta Bugs says, how can I book my first co-star? I'm getting auditions, but nothing seems to be moving for me. Well, first of all, congratulations on getting the auditions.
Yeah.
If you are getting auditions from the same casting people, it means they're searching for the right role for you. So in that instance, like if we're getting called in and we're auditioning, then it means that they're just searching for the right role, and our job is to relax. Right? Our job is to breathe out and say, okay, I'm getting called in. That means they're searching for the right role. Yeah. So I'm just going to relax and bring myself in the most beautiful, clear way I can, and have the confidence that being called in again and again and again is a good sign.
Yeah.
It sometimes we can interpret it. We can make it about a bad thing. We can say like, oh, they keep calling me in, but I don't book, and it's actually a good thing. It means they keep searching for the right role for us.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
So my take on it is get on Sarah's calendar and talk to her. That's a free session with Sarah, who's amazing, and just have her talk to you a little bit about that. I mean, we have people booking co-stars and guest stars every day, and the way that they're doing that is by taking their career into their own hands. So if you're waiting for the one agent that's going to do that for you, that's not what you should be doing. And if you're just doing casting workshops, you should you can do those, but there's really good ways of doing them that are going to actually get you results. And then also you should be building relationships with producers, directors, and writers. And then fuck co-stars, just go right to guest stars or series lead. I had a client that went from one co-star to series lead, like lead on an AMC series, like no in between. We had a client that went right from no credits to, in America, he had credits in Russia, but no credits in America, to a reoccurring guest star on House of Cards.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go up the ladder the way you think you have to go up the ladder. Right. And I would always ask, like, co-star, that seems like so like not get me out of bed in the morning. What's the real dream?
So and Angela responded, she said, my vision was to be playing fascinating characters full of humanity and to be working with excellent creative teams, making heartfelt, gut-wrenching films and TV towards and inspiring an impactful body of work as an artist. She said definitely fits this vision in every way possible behind my wildest dreams. That's lovely. That's beautiful.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
So Maggie Egan Cummings says, I sent out a pitch video with clips from shows and movies I've been in. She, a casting director, loved it, but she said that I should just send her a video with clips. I don't need to send out videos with me doing the narrator introducing my clips. So what do you think? Should I just send out my comedy reel or my drama reel with just text and an email, or should I ignore her?
She took the time to answer you, so that's a win. I don't care what she said. And I don't think that you should say use what she said to indicate anything. She took the time to answer you, which means exactly what we were just talking about, which is like, right, like the way they like to respond to us is like that.
Yeah.
They are like, we all need to go to Al-Anon for our relationships with agents and casting directors big time, right? Because we have put way too much power in them. So yeah, fuck her. Like, I don't care. You could do whatever you want to do, Maggie. You're Maggie, right? Like I did a whole TikTok on Maggie yesterday. Like Maggie's like killing her husband and burying him in the walls. I'm like, I would not mess with her. I would not be like telling her what you don't like about what she sent. Or maybe because yeah, forget that, Maggie. Just do what you want to do, whatever you think looks good. Like, you guys, it's your company. So whatever you think looks good. If I think your taste is off, if you ask my opinion and I'm like, I think it could be a little smarter than that or a little cleaner than that or whatever, I'll give you my opinion, but it's just my opinion. And if I think it's perfect, right? You know, the only thing that you should ever do is something that supports it and makes it better, right? Like, not something like, don't do that. Like, there's never like, what? I don't like, you know, I mean, like Anna's on this, Anna sees on this, and like, you know, we went through this whole process of getting her to, she's a fucking good actress, but when she was doing these pitches, she was being like all stiff, right? And so finding her realness in the pitch, like herself, like you talked about in the first thing today about being yourself, like, yeah, okay.
My sister's a chef. She loves to cook, and my sister, so she has a knife sharpener, and I said to her, how often do you sharpen the knife or knives? And she said, every time I cook. And the thing about submitting ourselves and refining is we refine and refine and refine. We sharpen the blade. We sharpen the blade. We sharpen the blade. We tune. We tune. We tune. These adjustments, it's like taking care of a garden. It doesn't stop, right? You're always taking care of the garden. You're always watering the plants, making sure there's sun. And so this, you know, I don't think you have to change anything, you know, to suit one person. I think it's always about tweaking and refining and playing with it to express yourself and be more true. And if you're expressing yourself and you're being more true to who you are, then you're doing your job.
Yep. Yay! Is there any other questions that we have?
No questions.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to be here next month. Coming at you. We have December 7th. We have a LinkedIn webinar with Mara. Mara has been getting incredible auditions. A lot of our clients have been getting really big meetings. Angela has used LinkedIn. A lot of our clients use LinkedIn as it's a business platform to reach out to their customers. So we're going to do an informed December 7th LinkedIn webinar. So make sure you come. It's free, everyone. Come to that. I mean, Sarah, if you do have the link for the webinar, you can put it in there. If not, don't worry about it. But make sure you sign up for it. It's going to be with me and Mara McCann. If you guys don't know her, we have 2 courses in our Actors Biz School, which are phenomenal courses, LinkedIn 1 and LinkedIn 2, how to get meetings. And you know, we're really going to be talking about meeting accelerator, like how do you get these meetings? How do you make these meetings turn into the next thing and playing the longer game and building these relationships with powerful producers and directors and writers. So, yeah, anyway, so I hope you guys can join us on that. And then James and I'll be here on December 15th.
Wow. Wait, we're December 15th. Okay, that's intense.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
I know, you guys, and Valerie, like everybody here, but you Valerie especially, I am so grateful to you, and I wish you a joyous celebration of life and love this year, and may you get all the bounties and blessings that come.
And I received that.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you for that gift. bounty, love, joy, grace, you know, is a big word for me. And so I believe those are my words for 2023. Right? I asked all our clients to write down their goals. Everyone write down your goals for 2023. Put them somewhere where you can see them.
Mhm.
Write them like they already happened. Okay, good. We have a lot planned for 2023. We have our big end of the year meeting December 1st and 2nd.
Wow.
So we are excited about everything that's coming your way with Active Fast Track.
Mm.
All right. Love you guys to pieces. James, I love you so much. I'm
Love you
so
too.
glad for everything you shared today. It's my favorite day of the month.
That's so nice. Love you.
I love you too.
Love everybody.
Bye everyone. Bye.